Morning. We're good. Okay. So, welcome to Dimensional Walking. I'm Rainbow. And today's video is going to be about what I had talked to you guys during our last video when Michael and I did our video together. I had talked about some interesting things that came about with my research on Dogman. And I wasn't quite sure if I could connect it to skinwalkers or, because basically the bottom line is that we all know that a skinwalker is a dark shaman. But I believe that there's actual skinwalkers out there that are creatures, and some people call them the wraiths or whatever, or other cryptids that are in the forest. But I don't think you can kind of title one group and just stick to that and just say that's everything. I think there's a lot of different things out there in the forest, which brought me to where I'm at today. Because where Michael and I live, we're out here in the forest, and as an empath, I kind of pick up on stuff. And the one thing that I've been picking up here is that there's something out there. I can sense something out there that's very intelligent. Well, in some of the research I've been doing, especially recently, I've come across some interesting stories that got me to thinking, okay, there's Dogman, but what if there's something else out there alongside Dogman that kind of looks in the genre of what a Dogman is, but maybe it's a different cryptid. Maybe it's another cryptid. And there were two stories that I had come across that I thought was really interesting. And I want to get into those. But before I do that, I also want to get into the moon. Because I've always felt that the moon there isn't like one day where the moon is full where it's the most powerful. And actually, as I've done some more research, it's really within the blink of an eye, it's full and then it starts waning. But I believe that the pull of the moon and what the moon represents, I think there's something there. So I have always felt that there's 7 days, 3 days before the full moon, 3 days after the full moon, including the full moon, that's a week, 7 days, where the moon is the most powerful every time it goes through its cycle. And I have always felt that for me, when I have been out in the forest, that I have felt intense feelings of something watching me, either the 3 days before or the 3 days after. So I don't think that animals necessarily go according to the cycle of the moon and they're only active on the full moon. I think that it's the sense of nature, of Mother Nature, and the pull of the moon on the planet as it starts gearing up and getting stronger. It affects everything, especially in nature. So for me, I was looking up some information, and I realized that there's more to the moon than meets the eye. I thought it would be kind of fun to let you know what the moon names are for each month. And so I looked that up, and so we have January, which is the wolf moon, and that happens to be the wolf moon because that's when food is supposed to be the most scarce for animals. February is the snow moon. March is the worm moon. I don't know what that is for. I don't know if worms are more active in March. Who knows? April is pink moon. May is flower moon. June is strawberry moon. July is buck moon. August is sturgeon moon. September is full corn moon. October is hunter's moon. November is beaver moon. And December is cold moon. And then we have the blue moon, the harvest moon, the super moon, and those are kind of added onto the different aspects of how close the moon is to the planet, how big it becomes, the color it is, all that stuff. Because I think that we have different times of the year where there's a halo around it that's even more prominent than other times. So, with that being said, a few things came to my mind with different aspects of the moon, because I think the moon is vital here. I think it's not just part of the werewolves or any of those stories that were told. I mean, I think the first movie ever done was Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, and that was in 1943. And that's when the werewolf kind of came into, the households of people, and they were more aware of it outside the gypsies and the other old cultures who experienced different aspects of different creatures, cryptids, out in the forests. Now, there's 8 lunar phases with the moon. There's the new moon, the waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning gibbous, third quarter, and waning crescent. So here it says the cycles repeat once a month every 29.5 days. So interesting that there's all these different names for the moon, but what I've always wondered is how much does the moon affect cryptids? What aspect of the moon for cryptids how important is it? I mean, the full moon, obviously anything that's searching for food can find it. So we know we've got that. But what about this other creature that I've come across on my my journey of this topic, the genre of Dogman? The 2 stories that came to mind that I wanted to share with you that I think is important. One was just recently, and the reason why these 2 stories are so important is because there's some details to these 2 stories that are identical. People from different parts of the country that actually detailed something that is very similar. One story is from a Michigan truck driver, and this story can be found on Earth Files, Linda Moulton Howe's channel on YouTube. This episode was featured November 1st. And let me see if I can help you all out here. It's, November 1st, Earth Files. Why would huge wolfman be U.S. government asset in Michigan Manistee Forest? So look that up and check out this story. I'm going to give you little snippets of it now. But this guy was a truck driver. He was hauling a heavy load, and he was up in the mountains, obviously, and he was losing air pressure with his brakes. And I guess, when you're hauling a heavy load, that's not good. So he pulled over to an area that was big enough for him to angle in, like a snowplow area or whatever, that was off the road, and he was able to get out, and it was a quick fix, about 5 minutes. While he was out, he actually felt something weird. He felt something that just didn't feel quite right. He was about 15 to 20 feet from the forest line, the line of where the tree started, and he saw some dark shadows running around. And he just got a really bad feeling. So within 5 minutes, he went ahead and finished up what he was doing, and he got back in his truck and started going slow up this hill. And he was going about 20, 25 miles an hour, and it was just slow going. And he was looking in his rearview mirror, trying to make sure that there, as he was getting on the highway, that there's no vehicles coming, and there weren't. And he looks over, well, in his peripheral vision, he sees a shadow over by his passenger window. The window's down. And all of a sudden, he sees a wolf head, he said. And the wolf head was looking at him, growling. And he said it was actually running alongside of the truck as if it was just nothing, just a little walk. And the arm and the hand came in, and it was trying to reach for the handle. And he's really, at this point, getting really freaked out. And the one thing that he noticed, that was something that I've been coming across quite a few stories in my research, is the hands looked like extremely large raccoon hands. And he commented that it was snarling and it was talking, or this guttural sounds were coming from it. And anyways, so he gets his gun out and he shoots it twice. He has a gun, I don't remember what kind of gun it was. I'm not a gun aficionado, but and then it actually fell. So he was in shock. And so he actually takes the big rig and he turns it around and he goes back, and then there are these two people there, and they made the comment to him that he had just downed their asset, and they looked like they were government people to him. And so if you want the details from the guy himself, go to earthfiles.com. November 1st was this episode. And it's very interesting. Well, the other story that I want to share with you, a gentleman, and I don't remember what YouTube channel it was. I watched another show. I'll try to look it up and put it in the information below. But he's from back east, and he was talking about something that happened to him with some friends back when they were teenagers. They were 14, 15 years old. And they came across a similar cryptid. And the interesting things that he commented about with this particular cryptid was the hands. Again, he said that the cryptid that he witnessed had large hands that looked like raccoon hands. And so I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's pretty interesting, because that's been coming across a lot. And then he said something else that made me realize that this was not the typical Dogman that you imagine seeing out there. I think that I saw and witnessed a Dogman. But I think that what he witnessed is something more extreme, something in the paranormal that's a hidden danger that we should all be aware of. And he commented that the wolf, which looked, the head looked like, he said, I think he said like Anubis, but he commented that the eyes were almost like illuminated from within, this yellow-orange color. It looked like they were on fire. Now, with the normal Dogman encounters, you'll have at night you'll have that reflection back in the eyes that people will get on video or on photographs. But this thing its eyes were on fire. And he said it was massive. He said if there was a fight between this thing and Sasquatch, he said he'd put his money on this thing. So he figured that this cryptid was about 12 feet tall, Well, the truck driver from Michigan, where his rig, where he was sitting and where it was reaching up, this cryptid had to be about the same height to be able to put his arm in the rig's window and try to reach for the handle of the door. And so with that, there's other stories, but I came to realize that there's something more out there than what we're just hearing about with Dogman. There's another cryptid outside of that, and I don't think this cryptid is Creature X. I don't know if with the Michigan truck driver, if the government is doing their crazy thing where they're playing God and creating creatures that shouldn't exist that do. And I don't know if that's what these are. I know that from what the two stories that I've heard, that this particular cryptid is extremely hostile. So it's something that would go after a human in a heartbeat. Now, these are eyewitness accounts, people who actually saw this particular cryptid. So I don't know what this thing is. I'm not sure. It's got me thinking that the time that Michael and I were in Utah, and we were on some jaunt where we were in the car. We used to go for day drives, and we were up in the mountains over by some caves, and I'm not quite sure where the area is. I think Michael would probably remember, but I just don't. And I had the most horrific, ominous feeling, to the point to where, even though it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and even though there were a lot of people around, and even though we were in the car and relatively safe, I didn't feel safe, and I wanted us to get out of there. And I told Michael, I said, I don't even want us to stay. I don't want you to get out. I'm not getting out. I want you just to get us out of here. And we were kind of at a snail's pace because there were cars in front of us where we actually, we were kind of behind, and we had to follow everybody out on this dirt road. And so for about 20 minutes, my heart was pounding in my chest, and I was freaking out because I had the sense that something intelligent was watching us. And it was cryptid. It wasn't like aliens, or it wasn't like, some scary dude, with binoculars or anything like that. This was something that my paranormal radar was just alarming, and I knew that we had to get out of there because I didn't want to have anything to do with whatever was out there. So I was watching another program where a Native American was saying, well, there's a lot of stories about skinwalkers that aren't true. And, the one thing that I think this thing is not, it's not a skinwalker. I think skinwalkers have to do, if they do things ceremonially the way that the dark shamans do things, is pretty horrific, and it takes a long time. If they sell their souls and they do whatever they do to make it short and quick, I think that we have some crazy creature there, some crazy skinwalker. Now, why I'm putting them all together, like a skinwalker, dark shaman, Dogman, now this other cryptid, which I don't know what it is. The one thing that I noticed with all of these is that, though I have a respect for Mother Nature and I have a respect for the forest, and I know that we're not on the top of the food chain, that's just not the way it is. I think I got to the point to where there's something more to all of this than meets the eye, and it's intriguing to me even more now, because this other cryptid is in the mix. And I'm looking at more stories and I'm trying to figure out what more is happening, because I'm coming across more of these stories than I have ever in doing my research. Now, these are just two that I'm sharing with you. There's a ton more out there with this other cryptid. So the question that's in my mind is, how did it get created? Is it a natural cryptid? How does all that work? Could there be something to the story in Michigan where the truck driver said that the two people, a man and a woman, said that he had downed their asset? Well, why would it be an asset for the government? I mean, think about it. I mean, even though it's in movies, where do these script writers get these ideas? How do they come across these ideas? The different movies that have been done out there with werewolves, or crazy half man, half beast soldiers out there. Maybe there's something to that. But the one thing that I do know is I'm going to do more research on this, and if I come across anything, I will share it with you guys. But I thought I would just share this with you and see what you all think, and to see if you all have come across these stories as well. If you haven't, check out Linda Moulton Howe's channel, Earth Files, and you'll find that it was a really interesting story, really well told. Take a look at that. And as I find out more information, and as we have our experiences here in our new location, I will inform you all and let you know what's going on. So thank you for listening in, and I will see you in the next video. I don't know what it will be about or when it'll happen, but I do know that I'll come up with something. And if you can think of something for me, tell me down in the comments. I do read them, and now that I have time, if there's something that you'd like me to do some research on, hey, pass it along. So take care, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.